Hey guys, my name is Monica. I'm 20, and what I'm about to tell you is something that I'm not proud of. But life is hard, and that means sometimes you need to make hard choices to get through it. This is my story, and I'm sure that there are millions of people like me in the world. When you need to help your family and you just can't wait for something good to happen, you do whatever it takes. I'll explain it better. I'm going to start with my childhood, which was difficult. Yeah, that's the word I'm going to use. My grandparents moved to New York in the 80s from the Dominican Republic. They were very proud of their roots. They taught my dad to never feel ashamed of who he was and where he came from. That's good, I guess. Like every other Latino in New York City, they lived in Washington Heights, in the north part of Manhattan, very close to Harlem. The place is unique in a weird way. You could spend several days without hearing a word in English. However, you take a 20-minute train to the south and it's like you moved to a different country. I think that's one of the funniest things about the city. Anyways, even though living here is way better than in the DR, it doesn't mean that it's not hard. Both Grandpa and Grandma worked until they were more than 70 to make enough money to survive. They had a very small hardware store. Everyone in the neighborhood knows our family thanks to that little store. When my dad was a kid, he used to help them at the store. And then when he finished high school, he became a repair technician, you could say, because he knew everything about plumbing, air conditioners, even how to fix some household appliances. You might think, wow, a technician and a hardware store, you have everything you need. Yeah, that could be right somewhere else, but not in New York, where you have to pay $5,000 a month to live in a shoebox. Dad did everything he could, and it wasn't enough for us. It's really hard to live here when you rely on the work of just one person. Mom was a nurse, but she stopped when she got pregnant with me. So maybe it's kind of my fault. When I was 11, Mom got pregnant again with my twin brothers, which put a lot of pressure on all of us. I know that sounded like I didn't want them, and it's not that. I love my brothers more than anything in the world. It's just that we were 5 people now, and it was difficult before. Now it was impossible. I started working in the hardware store when I was just 12 to help out my family. I went to the store after school, and I worked there until about 7 at night. I learned a lot about pretty much everything. Tools, nuts and bolts, cables, accounting, checking inventory, talking with the suppliers, literally everything. I think I'm the only girl in the Heights that knows how to build a washing machine from scratch. I remember making like $400 per week working at the store. It wasn't much. The good thing was that Dad could do more work outside the store thanks to my help. We tried hard for 2 years, but it wasn't enough. Dad was so stressed out about money that I remember him crying after seeing the bank account online. He never talked about it though. He always tried to make us feel like everything was okay. Mom believed him. I don't know if she did it because she really did believe him or just to keep him from worrying even more. Anyways, Dad wasn't doing so great about it. He was 30 and he looked like he was 45. He had dark circles so big that people in the neighborhood started calling him Don Rack, short for the Dominican raccoon. He tried to take advantage of that and changed the store's name to Raccoons. Funny, right? Yeah, it wasn't funny. A little parenthesis here, in case you want to move to New York, because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Just don't. The city is not easy, and most people living here are not making it. A lot of us don't know if we're going to be able to pay rent at the end of the month. For every person that makes it here, there are 1,000 who don't. So take this place seriously, and if you have any other places that you could go, consider it a little bit longer. I'm not trying to burst your dreams or anything and tell you that you can't achieve anything in your life's purpose, but just be realistic. Anyways, back to my depressive story. So one day, Dad came over with a big smile on his face. It was like 10 o'clock at night and Mom was watching a telenovela and I was doing my homework. He put on some music and called everyone into the living room. He then handed my mom ceremoniously a big stack of bills. He told us that he had a new contract with a company and he was going to do some special work for them in the next few months and that money was in advance. It was like 2 months of rent. He even gave me and my siblings like $20 each to go buy something for ourselves. At this time, I was 17. We were all super happy about it, but something just didn't feel right. Time passed and for the next few months, we were all having a good time. Dad's job gave us enough money to remodel the house. We painted the whole apartment, bought a new TV, and even a Nintendo Switch for my little brothers. We were having a good time. Dad hired someone to do the work at the store so I could focus on my school. And at that time, I wanted to get a scholarship to NYU. I know that there's a lot of memes online about that university, but for me, I really wanted to go there. No member of my family had ever gone to college, and NYU would let me be close with my family. That was priceless for me. I could stay at home and save money, and that was my plan. I remember the last day I saw my dad. I was arriving home after school. The police were taking him handcuffed into a patrol car. My mom was crying and screaming from the window of our apartment. I couldn't believe what was happening. Dad and I crossed glances, and he yelled out to me that everything was going to be fine. The police car started, and I never saw him again. I couldn't sleep last night. I think I didn't sleep for a whole week. It was such a confusing time. My mom told my brothers that my dad was on a work trip and he was going to be back very soon. They bought the lie, but they also had a lot of questions about it, and Mom and I just lied to them. I know that we did it to protect them from the truth, but I kind of hate myself for lying, just like Dad did. The next day, after the police took him, a newspaper published a story about a Hispanic guy arrested in Washington Heights that was linked to the drug cartel. Apparently, he was working for them as a mule, a guy that transports drugs from one place to another, and they were going to start a complete investigation. That day, I stayed at home taking care of my siblings while my mom went to go see Dad. He told her that they'd offered him a plea agreement. They were going to reduce his sentence in exchange for all the information he could give. He agreed. Mom was happy with the news because maybe he could see us all very soon. But I wasn't as positive about it as she was. In fact, the complete opposite. The next day, Dad was dead in his cell. Apparently, the guys in the cartel has somebody on the inside, and they decided to shut him up before he could say anything. We were devastated. The whole family, it was so hard for us. It still is. I don't know if I'm going to ever get over this. A month after Dad died, I was going home from school and two guys confronted me. They told me that our dad had owed their boss money and we needed to pay it, or they would make our lives miserable, but that they had an offer for me. They took me to their boss in a very fancy car. They covered my eyes so I wouldn't know where their hiding place was, or whatever you call it. We got to the boss's office and he offered me a drink. I refused to take it, and he looked at my body and asked me about my age. He told me that my dad owed him $15,000 and that I needed to pay that debt. He knew that our family's condition was poor, but he had an idea. He owned a club where there were dancers, let's call them. He wanted me to work there until I paid him back all the money. He said I could keep 20% of every job. I was shocked. He told me that I had two options: wait until I turn 18 and start working for him, or somehow pay the whole debt before I turned 18. Then they drove me back home and told me I had 2 days to send my answer. I got back home and Mom was waiting for me with a letter from NYU saying that I was accepted and I had a scholarship. She was so excited and she told me I needed to follow my dreams. I wanted to tell her everything, but I just couldn't find the words. I thought the whole night about it, and the next morning I told Mom that someone offered me a special internship downtown and I was going to take it because we needed the money. She told me that I had to go to NYU, but I refused and I told her I already made my decision. And so, as you guys might guess, I took the job. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and I've almost paid back 10 grand to the cartel. I'm hoping to be free again very soon. That 20% is almost $400 a week. It's not much, but it really helps. My mom started selling cakes and cookies in the neighborhood, and that little bit of side money also helps. We're doing the best we can. Every night I come home and I just want to cry. I hate myself for accepting the job. I have nothing against sex workers, the ones who do it because they're wanting to do it, but I don't want to. I want to be free and to be able to tell my mom everything, but I can't. I don't want her to worry, and I don't have the strength to actually say the words. Maybe when it's all finished, I will have the guts to tell her. But yeah, that's my story. Please don't judge me. I just wanted to tell this to someone else to free myself a little bit. I know there's not really a happy ending here, but not yet at least. Anyways, thanks for watching.